It's Mark. I'm back, and I'm here today with some good friends from Nature Unplugged, Sonia and Sebastian. So, welcome to our OA interviews. We don't really have a formal name for this, but we're just talking to
Need the
people
name.
that we think are cool. So,
Yeah. Thanks for
how you
having us.
going?
We're excited to be
Yeah.
here.
So, can you tell us about what is Nature Unplugged?
So Nature Unplugged, in essence, like we're all about just inspiring wellness in the digital age. So that means like this is all from our personal experience. Like we enjoy technology. We like Netflix. We're not like living on a yurt on a mountaintop. So it's like how do we engage in these things with and really still make space for nature and for human connection and not get kind of like sucked into the vortex.
Assuming that balance that you're speaking about, like, has this is where maybe it connects with the mindfulness work that you do. Like, how aware are you of how you're using your time or how you're giving your attention? And I'm wondering if you could give us a little definition of mindfulness and what that means for you.
Yeah, mindfulness is really there's a ton of different definitions, but to us it's like being essentially it's being in the present moment, being intentionally purposefully in the moment without judgment of this moment, right? So and how that impacts our work is like we really see mindfulness as sort of foundational for what we do. And really when it comes to technology use and getting out into nature, it's like being aware of when we're getting sucked into like a Netflix vortex or social media vortex or whatever vortex is, and being able to like make the choice to step out, step away, put the phone down, and get outside. So it's really like I think it's about just raising our level of awareness to know, you know, when it's been too much screen time and when we need a little more nature action.
For a little history, they interned with Outdoor Adventures. And so that was, I think, the beginning of our connection. And one of the programs that they worked on that was really popular was this digital detox.
So that digital detox trip was really about creating intentional space for students to like say goodbye to their phones for a weekend. I mean, we did a full like ceremony around putting their phones in little sleeping bags for the weekend. And I mean, really, it's not terribly different than a lot of the other trips, but really being intentional about this is a time away from technology, time to connect with each other, with ourselves, with the natural surroundings. And
something that all of us sort of want, but it's really hard to do on our own. So when you create a trip out of it with a really explicit intention of unplugging, then it gives like a wider permission and expectation that you're going to be totally disconnected. And a lot of great human connection happens, not just connection to nature and the environment, but to each other as well. So I think, there's a little bit of anxiety before the trip of letting go and putting the phones away, but at the end, every time people are so psyched and feel so connected to each other.
yeah.
Cool. Hearing you say that, I think about when, we're backpacking, when we're on the trail, when we're out there just in nature. It's like the experience is really lending us to be mindful in that moment because you are hyper aware, you're more aware of your surroundings, you're more aware of how your body's feeling, you're more aware of the weight you're carrying on your back, you're aware, you're aware of the food that you're eating.
Mark, can I just add in that I think that's like the essence of I think what we're talking about is that the tech world and the attention economy, like all the forces that pull us into it, are kind of it's like the opposite of mindfulness. It's like full of distraction and full of like likes and notifications and dings to suck us in. Whereas like nature, the way nature operates, it's the perfect thing to counter technology, but it's the perfect thing to like increase our mindfulness. The sounds of birds or like this, all our senses are much more engaged. So like just as you described it, I think that's why nature is such an important piece for us. And it's like the perfect antidote to screen time.
And so I'm just wondering, how has your time at USD shaped kind of the work that you're doing with Nature Unplugged, the entrepreneurial spirit that you're taking, the socially minded, the environmentally minded work that you're doing?
Well, it has everything to do with our business venture. I mean, it was like the inspiration and the energy behind really making it into a viable business. So the idea of Nature Plug was there. We had a lot of the pieces together in our heads and we were doing some side work around it. But really moving it into like our full-time work and our business came from both sort of the educational opportunities at USD, also like, you know, social innovation and that being valued at USD. And then obviously the work with OA and having that experience, like running retreats, like interacting with college age students, like testing some of the content and really seeing where the need is and how things were landing. So, I mean, I can't imagine us being able to have gotten to where we are today without having USD to help launch us there.
What's something that people can do on their own while they're just out walking, that is user-friendly, introductory, just dip your toe in the water of what is it like to kind of be outdoors and be mindful?
Sure. I mean, I think one of the easiest ways to do that is through like an engaging your senses activity, where you really try to get all of your senses engaged at some point. Like if you're walking on your walk, you know, your sight, your smell, your taste, sound, you know, and it can be like just feeling the sunshine on your skin or a breeze. Like, you know, do you smell any plants? Do you like, what do you see? Where can you spot nature? And what can you hear any nature sounds? Of course, there'll be plenty of non-nature sounds, you know, depending on where you live, but how can you sort of even focus on that stuff to really be present in the moment? And the more we can engage our senses when we're outside, the more like present and in the moment we will be.
Okay, so my last question for you is, I mean, what is it about the work that you do with Nature Unplugged that you love?
You know, I mean, this is maybe a different direction than I was originally going to go, but I think we're having to shift with the pandemic and with like a lot of stuff going to Zoom and or virtual. And it's a little funny, like we've been doing wellness in the digital age, like kind of workshops virtually. And we just had an experience, and I was like initially really, you know, not resistant, but I'm like, I much prefer the in-person stuff, and the in-person in nature stuff is, you know, the best. We had an opportunity to work with some middle school students recently in a wellness in the digital age course via Zoom. And I was like blown away by how like impactful some of the exercises were, like talking about benefits of nature, talking about boundaries with technology, talking about mindfulness. And they like came to life and they were sharing stories. And it was a really cool thing to see that like the essence of the work, you know, can be delivered. Doesn't really matter what the platform is. I mean, in person in nature is the best, but to make those shifts, and that knowing that there's like some middle school kids that are going to then go to their parents and kind of be on their parents about screen, like phone time, and is really cool to see.
Yeah, it really is. I think the clients coming to life, or the people we work with coming to life. And as soon as it doesn't take long, like as soon as you're off the phone and outside, it's just, there's nothing else to do but to interact with nature, interact with each other. And even if there's some hesitation around that at the beginning, it takes so little time, and just like people light up, you know, it's great. That's so meaningful. And myself included, it's easy to slip into it also of like, oh, I got to do these emails. And then as soon as you get outside, you're like, oh, I didn't realize, like, thank goodness I'm out here.
Well, thank you both for hanging out with us.
Yeah,
it's always good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm excited to go on this virtual journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's